Is it up and running? Am I good to go? If it is good to go, y'all have to fast forward it. All right, cool. Perfect. Let's get into this, man. Let me lock back in. All right, so the title of today's discussion is The First Time I Realized You Were Me. It's a love story. So let's start this from the top. Typically, we do the lecture format where I break it down into sections and we build on the sections. Today, we're going to do it differently. Every so often, I'll do kind of these book things. You know, I love to write. This is actually inspired, right, by very recent events. It's inspired. A lot of it is twisted and fabricated, but it's all inspired, right? Twisted and fabricated meaning what you hear is not really what it is, but what you hear is what it is. That's what I'm saying. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right. The first time I realized you were me. And then the subtext is what? Kiss me like we are eternal. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I met her in a place that felt accidental, the way destiny often disguises itself so the ego doesn't panic. It was late evening, gold dissolving into indigo. The air was warm, but not heavy. The kind of air that makes you feel like something is about to happen, though you cannot explain what. I was not looking for anyone. At least that's what I told myself. At least that's what I told myself. But we know how these things are. We know how affairs of the heart are. Affairs of the heart are affairs of the heart. They're in their own category. Sometimes you simply feel that pull towards another. Where does that come from? Something deeper than personality, deeper than ego. It's just a, you know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say, right? I was not looking for anyone. At least that's what I told myself. I had spent months, maybe years, dissolving identities, burning through attachments, questioning the entire architecture of love. Was love just two bodies negotiating survival? Would it be better if there was two of us? We could survive better. We could put our incomes together. It's the American way. It's programmable, whatever. Was it just chemistry mistaken for destiny? I'm calling you a soulmate, a twin flame, all of these things that I started to believe were just buzzwords. Was it just chemistry? Was I simply addicted to you because of the sex, because of the way you made me feel in a time of need? But now I'm calling that destiny. Is it? Was it trauma recognizing itself in another costume? Was it what the therapist told me? Is it my avoidant attachment style just playing out in another creative way? So I began to what? Question the entire architecture of love. I had come to believe something more intimate, though. That there were never two. She was standing by a window, light catching her face in a way that felt almost staged, not perfect, and damn sure not artificial, just undeniable. When our eyes met, something in me did not reach. It didn't even try. It recognized. And that frightened me more than desire ever could. Most relationships, they begin with projection, right? We see what we need. We see what we lack. We see a mirror and call it mystery. We see a mirror of our lack and call it mystery, but this was different. When she walked toward me, there was no sense of conquest. There was no hunt. There was no subtle game of positioning between us. There was a collapsing of distance, as if the space between us had been pretending to exist. You look like you've been waiting for something, she said. I smiled. I think I've been waiting to realize I wasn't. I think I've been waiting to realize I wasn't. She tilted her head slightly, intrigued and not confused. That was the first crack in the illusion right there. She wasn't confused. It was that intrigue. It was as if I was collapsing back into myself through her. It was as if a part of me was intrigued in the truth of what I am through her. It was as if a part of me hungered for myself through her. Okay? Through her. Okay? We spoke the way two currents meet, not colliding, not competing, in waves when the currents meet, but merging. Our conversation did not feel like information exchange. It felt like remembering, recognizing. And then it happened. A pause. The kind of silence that would normally feel awkward. You're having that good conversation, and then there's that pause, that silence. It would normally feel awkward, right? The ego usually rushes in to fill it, terrified of what? Being uninteresting, of losing control of the situation, of not looking appealing, not being able to get validated by her. But neither of us moved to rescue it. Neither of us moved to rescue it. We just looked, not at each other, but through each other, and something in me shifted. For years, I had studied non-duality. I had debated it. I had lectured about it. I had dissected it intellectually. There's no separate self. There is no other. All is one, appearing as many. I could speak it fucking fluently. But this was the first time it touched my nervous system. This was the first time it touched my nervous system. As I looked into her eyes, I felt the strangest unraveling. The usual boundaries that define attraction began dissolving. It was not that I wanted her. It was that the one who wanted and the one who was wanted felt like the same movement. The first time I realized you were me was not mystical fireworks. It was quiet terror. The first time I realized you were me, it was quiet terror. I had been running from love. Because if you are me, then love is not acquisition. It is recognition. And recognition destroys ownership. It destroys ownership. Recognition of myself destroys ownership. Days passed. We saw each other again and again. Each meeting peeled something away. At dinner one night, she reached across the table and touched my hand. But the electricity did not travel from her to me. It moved within one field. I watched my mind try to reassert separation. This is going well. She likes you. Don't mess this up. The ego is addicted to distance. It survives on tension. It needs a gap to close, a story to maintain, but something deeper was dismantling that narrative in real time. When she laughed, it didn't feel like sound coming toward me. It felt like joy surfacing inside the same awareness I call myself. Even her laugh was intoxicating. Even her laugh is intoxicating. One night, we lay on the floor of her apartment, no music, no distractions, just breathing. The city humming faintly outside. Do you ever feel, she whispered, like time isn't actually moving? I turned my head toward her all the time. She smiled. When I'm with you, it feels like there's no before and no after. Just this. That was the second unraveling. That was the second unraveling. Kiss me like we are eternal, not afraid of losing, but eternal. When we kissed for the first time, it was slow, it was reverent, as if we were not trying to ignite something, but to acknowledge something already burning. We weren't trying to start it up. We were acknowledging what was already the truth. We were in communion with the God that already is. Her lips were warm, they were soft. But what overwhelmed me wasn't the sensation, it was the disappearance of location. Where did she end and I begin? Where did giver and receiver divide? The mind could not find the seam. Most intimacy is built on lack. I need you. I complete you. You make me feel alive. But what happens when you do not need to be completed? What happens when you realize that the aliveness you attribute to another is simply consciousness tasting itself through contrast? Her hand slid along my chest, slow enough to feel each breath. My body responded. Of course. Desire is not the enemy and sensation is not illusion. But even desire was different. It was not hunger reaching outward. It was energy circulating inward. I pulled back slightly and looked at her. If there's no separation, I said quietly, then who is kissing who? She did not answer with philosophy or non-duality or something she heard on my lecture. She simply kissed me again. And that was the answer. And that was the answer. The kiss deepened in a holy, divine surrender. There was heat, yes. There was tension, yes. But it felt like waves moving within the same ocean, not two shores crashing together. Time began to thin. There was no past of heartbreak to defend against. There was no future to secure. There was no checklist of relationship milestones to perform, just this infinite present folding into itself. The norms of relationship began to look absurd. Why do we say mine if there is no other? Why do we fear loss if what we love is not outside us? Why do we cling to performance and form when eternity is already the substance? One evening, weeks later, we argued. We argued. We argued. It was subtle, a misunderstanding. Tone misread, silence misinterpreted. The ego made a brief cameo appearance. The ego made a brief cameo appearance. I watched it rise in me, the urge to defend, the instinct to assert my position, the ancient habit of separation trying to resurrect itself. You're pulling away, she said. I'm not, I replied too quickly. I replied way too quickly. The room felt smaller all of a sudden. And then something unexpected happened. Instead of fighting, we both stopped. I closed my eyes. If she is me, then who am I protecting? If there is only one field, then conflict is just turbulence within myself. Conflict is just turbulence within myself. When I opened my eyes, I did not see an opponent. I saw a reflection of my own contraction. I'm afraid, I admitted. I'm nervous, I admitted. Her shoulders softened instantly, me too. And just like that, the illusion cracked again. That's number 3. Non-duality is not cold detachment. It is radical intimacy. It is the willingness to see that every trigger, every jealousy, every fear is not caused by another, but revealed through them. She was not there to complete me. She was there to expose the places I still believed in separation. Her divine ass. With her divine ass, you feel me? Months later, lying together in the quiet after love, making her head on my chest, I finally understood something that no lecture had ever fully delivered. Eternity is not endless time. It is the absence of division. Eternity is not from the past to the future. Eternity is right here, right now. The absence of division between you and what you desire, you and anything, that is eternity. Right now. Right now. Kiss me like we are eternal. She whispered once more, tracing a circle on my skin. I held her face gently and looked into her eyes, not searching, not claiming, not loving an object, but loving as being itself. The first time I realized you were me, I thought I might lose the romance. Instead, it became unbearable in its beauty. It became unbearable in its beauty. It's unbearable when I first wake up. It's unbearable before I go to sleep. It's unbearable. It's unbearable in its beauty. Because if you are me, then every touch is self-discovery. Every gaze is self-recognition. Every surrender is God folding back into God. We did not become less passionate. Let me make that clear. We did not become less passionate. We became less afraid. Less performative, less possessive, less concerned with where this was going, because where could it go? There was nowhere outside of this. And when we kissed with no urgency to arrive anywhere else but now, I understood. Love is not two souls meeting. It is the one pretending to forget just long enough to feel the thrill of remembering. Kiss me like we are eternal, because we are. I am that I am, right? No matter what. So let's move into part 2. The first time I realized you were me. There is a kind of love that feels like pursuit. And then there is a kind of love that feels like revelation. Which one do you choose? There's a type of love that feels like pursuit. There's a type of love that feels like revelation. Which do you choose? Which do you choose? The first is built on distance. Love built on pursuit is built on distance. Change the inner to change the outer. Separation. Me here, you there, separation. The second dissolves it. Most of us are taught to love as if we are fragments searching for completion. We are handed the myth of what? Two halves, two destinies, two separate stories trying to intertwine without losing themselves. But what if the deeper truth is more beautiful? What if the deeper truth is more beautiful? What if there were never two? What if there were never two? Let's ponder, let's ponder, let's ponder, let's ponder. When I first began to sense this in romance, it felt scary because it removed ownership. It removed the narrative of mine and replaced it with something more intimate, more sacred. It replaced it with recognition. There's simply a recognition of appearance within awareness. Simply appearance moving within awareness. No past, no future, simply now, no separation, just labels. Right? And if that is the source of all that appears, then when I look into your eyes, I'm not peering into foreign territory. I'm looking into the same infinite depth that animates my own gaze. This is why certain love feels ancient. That's why certain people that you meet, it feels ancient, right? The connection just feels delicious, divine, just perfect, intoxicating. My goodness, where else would I rather be? It's not because we've met before in time. It's because time is not the container of this meeting. It's not because we met before in time, past life, future life. It's because time is not the container of this meeting. We are eternal. We are eternity meeting eternity in form. Right? So Psalm 42:7, what does it say? It says, deep calls unto deep. And we did a deep dive on this verse. Deep calls unto deep. Right? When we talk about depth, what are we talking about? We're talking about the truth of you. We're talking about being itself. Depth is what? It's you beyond the ego, beyond the facade, beyond the mask, beyond the label, beyond the personality, beyond all that nonsense. It's the truth of who you are. It's something ancient, something eternal, something infinite that cannot be described because even description rises within it. Cannot be observed because it is the one that observes. Cannot be grasped because it is the one that grasps. You cannot get outside of it because it is the edge of everything. It is the edge of everything. Right? There is something deep within you, right? That which is prior to personality, that which is untouched by biography, that which existed before your first heartbreak and will remain after your last breath. When love operates at that level, something extraordinary happens. Desire remains, but desperation fades. Right? The desire doesn't go away, but the desperation fades. When you stop attaching that label, the desperation must fade. The desperation must fade. Right? Touch intensifies. Presence intensifies. Touch intensifies, but fear softens. Passion burns, but possession dissolves. But possession dissolves, right? So Rumi once wrote, lovers don't finally meet somewhere, they're in each other all along. Lovers don't finally meet somewhere, they're in each other all along. We read that and we call it poetry. But what if it's actually ontology? What if it's actually telling you about being itself? Lovers don't finally meet somewhere, they're in each other all along. We think this sounds like soulmates, romantic. But there's a deeper truth. If there is only one, what isn't a soulmate? What isn't a soulmate? Okay? Okay, my beautiful gods and goddesses. So here we go. Here's the question. Here's the reflection question. I'm going to drop this one in the Discord in a second too. Just as a pondering question, right? What if the reason that love feels magnetic is not because two forces are pulling toward one another, but because one field is collapsing back into itself? What if the reason that love feels so magnetic is not because two forces are pulling toward one another, okay? But because one field is collapsing back into itself, the illusion is simply disappearing. The illusion is fading, which gives us that quote unquote magnetism, which is what it is, isn't it? Isn't that what magnetism is? The dissolving of the illusion of separation. Think about that. What is magnetism? What is magnetism, right? So when Moses stood before the burning bush and heard the voice say, I am that I am, Exodus 3:14, the declaration was not merely theological, right? It was relational. I am, not I was, not I will be, but I am right now in the immediacy, the divine and poetic and beautiful immediacy of right now. Love that is rooted in I am is not concerned with duration. It is not anxious about timelines. It is not obsessed with securing outcomes because it already is right now. And that divine, deep, eternal recognition of the truth of what it is. Beautiful, right? It is presence, recognizing presence. This is why true intimacy dissolves time. Kiss me like we are eternal. Kiss me like we are eternal, because what is meeting in this kiss is not bound to form at all. It's not bound to anything. It's not bound to anything, right? So, do I want to read? Yeah, I want to keep reading this part, all right? So, the mystic Meister Eckhart, the mystic Meister Eckhart, right? He has a quote, and it says, "The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me." The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me, right? Let's talk about this from romance, because we've talked about this in several different contexts, right? If the same awareness looks out through both sets of eyes, if the same awareness looks out from both sets of eyes, then who is witnessing whom? Then who is witnessing whom? That beautiful self-recognition. That beautiful self-recognition. Like in that moment when lips meet and breath synchronizes, the illusion of two centers collapses. There is only sensation moving through consciousness, moving within consciousness. Let me put it like that. There's only sensation moving within consciousness, only warmth folding into warmth. So the Song of Solomon whispers, right? So Song of Solomon 8:6, it says, "Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm." Put me upon your heart, upon your arm, for love is strong as death. Let's get into that. Love is strong as death. Think about this for a second before I ask you a question. Love is strong as death. Like death. Love is strong as death. What would death represent in this case? When we talk about death metaphysically, we're not talking about the physical transition, right? So what is death? What is death but the end of separation? More profound than rebirth, right? What is death but the end of separation? The end of separation. Let's think about that, all right? So romantic love at its highest rehearses that dissolution. It invites you to surrender the boundaries of identity, to let your edges blur, to let your carefully constructed persona melt into shared silence, yet the ego trembles. And so I've got three things that I want to discuss, right? So these things, they might sound like contradictions at first, or it's a paradox. We're going to go through each one of them. All right, so number one is, if you are me, then I cannot control you. If you are me, then I cannot control you. What does that mean to you? Does that make sense? If you are me, then I cannot control you. Number two is, if you are me, then I cannot own you. It's a paradox, right? If you are me, then I cannot own you. And then the third one is, if you are me, then losing you would mean losing myself, and that is impossible. Boom. This is the one that I really want to go to, because I want you to think about that one. Because we always say, right, they're you. They're you. They're you. What are we actually talking about when we say they are you? Are we talking about the body? What are we talking about? Okay, if you are me, then losing you would mean losing myself, and that is impossible, right? Of course it's impossible. Losing them does not mean losing you. Let's go into each one of these. All right. So number one, because if you are me, then I cannot control you. In ego logic, unity sounds like domination. I want you to think about this from the egoic manifestation space, right? What it'll say is, if everything is me, then everything should obey me. If everything is me, then everything should obey me. But that's still what? It assumes there is still a separate me standing above the whole, pulling levers. Non-duality does not inflate the ego into some kind of cosmic dictator. It dissolves the ego entirely. If you are me, then there is no separate center here that stands apart from you to manipulate you. There's nothing separate from you, standing apart from you, for you to manipulate. There's no separate awareness for you to manipulate. All right? There is only one movement expressing as two perspectives. Control requires distance. It requires separation. Control, the assumption that I control, it requires a subject and an object. A subject acting upon an object, that is control, right? But in unity, there's no distance to exploit. You just are reality. There's no separation. There's just the label that you put on it. You label them as outside of yourself, but they're not. They're within your awareness. How can you control what you are? How can you need to control what you are? Relax into the knowing that you're already it. There's nothing to do, nothing to reach for, nothing to strive towards. Such a beautiful paradox, all right? If you are me, then I cannot own you. That's number two. If you are me, then I cannot own you. If you are not an object in my world, but an expression of the same being, then possession becomes incoherent. Love shifts from you are mine to you are myself in another form. You are me in another form. You are myself in another form. The same, right? The same moving through another, right? The same simply moving through different forms. Okay? Simply moving through different forms, all right? So, ownership collapses into reverence. This is why non-dual love feels less clingy and more sacred. You don't cage what you recognize as your own essence. You're not going to try to cage what you recognize as your own essence. Right? It's your essence. So next part. If you are me, here's the one right here. Okay? And of course, I know my brother Josh gonna understand what I'm talking about. Let's just be real clear on this, okay? So if you are me, then losing you would mean losing myself, and that is impossible. Think about this, right? We've been saying they're you, they're you, they're you. So if they're you, then losing them it seems to imply that you would lose yourself, right? It seems to imply that you would lose yourself. Interessante, right? So on the level of form, right? Because we talk about two different levels: the relative level, the level of form, the absolute level, the level of the absolute awareness, consciousness, right? So on the level of form, bodies separate. Relationships change. People leave, death happens, right? The physical transition happens. We can say, yeah, your death's not real. I get you. The physical transition happens. To deny that would kind of be spiritual bypassing, right? But what exactly is lost in these cases? There's form, there's appearances that rise within awareness. So there's awareness standing as all that there is, and there's forms and appearances rising within it. There's forms and appearances. This appearance of an argument, this appearance of a disagreement, this appearance of love, There's appearance of breakfast. These things arise within awareness. When they change, what actually happens? Right? What exactly is lost? If what I truly loved in you was your essence, your aliveness, the consciousness shining through your eyes, then that is not a private possession located inside your body. That's not a private possession located inside your body. It is the same awareness animating mind. The form may go. The form may go. The essence cannot. What feels like losing you is the loss of a particular configuration of the one, but the one itself remains untouched. In that sense, losing you does not equal losing myself, because the self that is real was never confined to your form. The self that is real was never confined to your form. The false reality is lost, right? So here is the deeper resolution. So on the relative level, separation exists. From the perspective of the human experience, right? This is why we speak in so much concessions when we talk about unity consciousness, right? We talk about them leaving and coming back, and even them is a concession. Even saying them, we're already in dualism. We're already in dualism, right? So on the relative level, separation exists. On the absolute level, it never did. So when we speak romantically from non-duality, we're blending those lenses. That is why it feels contradictory sometimes. Right? We're trying to express something that includes both intimacy and transcendence. So the refined truth might sound like this: because you are not separate from me, I cannot dominate you without distorting myself. This is the way that we speak in concessions to explain something that's better explained with silence. The closest we will get to explaining the one is just, that's the best definition you're ever going to hear right there, right? Because you are not separate from me, I cannot possess you without shrinking us both. I cannot possess you without shrinking us both. I can't confine you without confining us both, because what you truly are is not confined to form. I cannot ultimately lose you, because what you truly are is not confined to form. I cannot ultimately lose you. Non-dual love does not erase grief. It does not erase desire and longing. It does not. It does not remove attachment overnight. It transfigures them. It turns control into trust, ownership to devotion. It turns the fear of loss into reverence for presence, honoring their presence, loving their presence, just devotion, reverence for the presence. And this is where the real challenge to relationship norms appear. If you cannot control, cannot own, and cannot ultimately lose, then what is left? Choice. All that is left is choice. Free, conscious, present choice in the immediacy of now. Free, conscious, present choice in the immediacy of now. Freedom. Choosing because love as being delights in expressing itself through this form, through this body, through this connection. I choose this connection because I delight in it. I delight in it. I love it. I love it, right? So fear loosens its grip. So non-dual love doesn't cling. It doesn't negotiate for security. It doesn't manipulate for reassurance. Ah, it knows. It simply knows, right? So, Khalil Gibran, he wrote this in the book The Prophet. It's a quote from the book The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. It says, "Let there be spaces in your togetherness." Let there be spaces in your togetherness. Why? Why? Spaces in my togetherness. I want to cling, right? I want to cling to that motherfucker, right? Why let there be spaces in your togetherness? Because space is not separation. Space is the canvas of unity. Two bodies can move freely because what unites them is not proximity, but being. What unites us is not physical closeness, it's being. There is no distance in love. It's Gibran. You're right. It's Gibran. Gibran. Khalil Gibran. Is that what it is? Damn, don't call me out like that. Gibran. All right, we gonna look that one up on the internet and get the pronunciation right. Okay. So, two bodies. I'm just playing with you. Y'all correct me. You know that. Two bodies can move freely because what unites them is not proximity but being. What unites them is not proximity but being. The quote that we used yesterday, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before, that there is no space in love. There is no space in love. So even the knowing that I am loved means I am connected and present with everything right here. Not because of physical proximity. Physical proximity is just a label. It's a story. What is the difference between someone in front of me right now and the memory that I have of them 10 years ago, and then the hopeful me that wants this version of them to show up in the future? All of those show up within awareness. I just slap a label on it. And I say, this one's past, this one's present, this one's future, this one's here, this one's not, this one's gone. But they're all here. They're all here in awareness, in the immediacy of now. Love is all there is. How could space exist? There's nothing for you to do. Just know who you are and relax. Just be still and know. Just be still and know. Right. So the next quote, this is a Sufi quote. It says, "My heart has become capable of every form. A pasture for gazelles, a monastery for monks, a temple for idols." Beautiful, right? Love that recognizes non-duality becomes capable of every form because it is not threatened by change. It knows that form is costume. One of the things I used to always get criticized on when I first got into this was like my preference of women. Right? People wanted to judge me and say he's wrong because he feels this way, right? There are several forms of love that I think are beautiful. I think monogamy, absolutely beautiful. Polygamy, absolutely beautiful. All of it is absolutely beautiful. You want to be single and you want to be a monk, you want to take a vow of celibacy. There is absolute beauty in that, right? The path is yours, right? But no one way constitutes or dictates love over another. Unless you slap a label on it and judge it so. How do you define romantic love? How do you see romantic love? Which way is right? Which way is wrong? Which way is right? Which way is wrong? Which is the highest calling? Which is the lowest calling? What is not God? What is not God? It's all what it is, right? It's all what it is. Okay? And so when we say, kiss me like we are eternal, we're not asking for forever in calendar years. When we say kiss me like we are eternal, we are not asking for forever in calendar years. We are asking for presence so complete that time loses relevance. We want presence so complete that time loses relevance. not thinking of the heartbreak. I'm not thinking about if I left the stove on. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about our problems. I'm just here right now, dissolved into the truth of what we are. Tired of pretending that God could ever be anywhere except between us right here and right now. There is nowhere else that God would rather be than between us right here and right now. That is it. Devotion, 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 right? We are asking for presence so complete that time loses relevance. So Gospel of John, John 17:21, it says that they all may be one. That they all may be one as thou, Father, art in me and I in thee. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Union is not a future reward. It is the structure of reality itself. This challenges the norms of relationship. We are taught to build love on compatibility, shared goals, psychological alignment. These things matter on the relative plane. They smooth the surface of life. They smooth the surface of life. But beneath that, something far more radical, divine, however you want to put it, is available. To look at your beloved and see not a role, not a function, not a source of validation, not a source of reassurance, not just a puppet, but the same consciousness playing another role, playing another note in the symphony of existence. Got the puzzle piece come up. There we go. To look at your beloved and see not a role, not a function, not a source of validation, not a source of reassurance, but the same consciousness playing another note in the symphony of existence. When conflict arises, it is not enemy against enemy. It is not enemy against enemy. One thing that I've had to really kind of challenge myself on lately is how I handle conflict. And I think one of the things that I took a lot of pride in when I first got into this space was patience. Sitting with somebody and knowing that at any point in time they could have their breakthrough moment. I'm just going to do my best and walk them through it as best as I can. Right? And so I will be the first to admit that lately that has been getting lost. I've been losing that little battle. Right, and I found my patience getting less, and I felt myself being less or more judgmental. And actually, I want to give hella kudos to certain people, right? Because when I say that we're all in this together, I truly mean that. There are so many of y'all that have inspired me. I don't know if Sarah's on Sarah, I don't know if Katie's on Katie, Basgetti, KJX, right? Shit, like Art, Josh, right? Some of y'all who, when we first talked, from then until now, right? The way that y'all have shown me, reminded me, right, that anybody at any moment, right, can just turn it on, right, has been beautiful. So I have slipped into patterns where I've been a little less patient. And I don't even think my less patient is a quote unquote bad thing. But I've had to check myself recently, kind of get back to the basics of what this is about. Right? I've had to get back to the basics of what this is about. What is this about? Right? It is about helping each other. It's about helping each other. It's about walking through this with one another. So even the way that I have had to handle conflict has been challenged. Certain things have been pushed in my face, and I've had this opportunity to say, okay, well, cool. Yeah, being buddy with everybody is cool. However, how do you want to see your platform and all these, people that you're talking to? How do you want to actually see this long term? Are you here to turn this into a gossip club? How how do you want this to unfold? Right? What is the actual vision that you're holding on to? Right? And it's allowed me to step into certain conversations, do the best that I can, and be like, okay, well, I can move forward knowing that I did the best that I could in those things. But it's also, I've had certain things that have been revisited. Let me give you an example. All right, give you an example. There have been times, right, where I might have people come up on this panel. We haven't done panels in a while. We haven't done one-on-one on lives, which we're going to get back to very, very soon. Maybe even tonight, we're going to get back to like having the one-on-ones on the live streams, because I thought those were very helpful. And it allowed y'all to kind of, it was my personal branding type thing, because you're able to actually see what I'm about. Like when I'm just sitting here and I'm saying messages and I'm telling jokes, it's not the same as when I'm trying to guide y'all one-on-one through things, right? And so what would happen is somebody would come up and there were some people that would just, you're right, I get it, boom, cool. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30. There's some people that take a little bit more time. Right? Let those that have ears hear it. Right? They might take a day, they might take a week, they might take longer, they might take the message being delivered in different ways. And as we all know, right? No, it doesn't matter what the words I say are. If they're not ready to accept it, they ain't ready to accept it. But does that mean that I'm just going to give up on their ass? Does that mean I should? Well, I've always had the perspective of no. And that's been something I've even challenged in the Discord, just because I wanted to see y'all's kind of opinions on it, is at what point do I tell your ass, maybe you should go to fucking therapy? Maybe you should give this up. Right? Just because I wanted to get some information, right? Somebody else that I'm not gonna lie to y'all, the first time I really caught myself slipping, and Kara, you actually pointed this out to me. You actually helped me with this one. I just have never said it. But there was someone that was in the Discord. We were talking. They weren't getting it. And you left the voice note and you left the voice note and were like, they're going to get it. I'm going to work with them, yada, yada, yada. And it was this moment that was like, damn, Alex, did you just lose the plot for a second? Did you lose the plot of what this was about for a second? So, long story short, bro, let me not have a venting session right here. What I want to tell y'all is I appreciate each one of y'all. We're all in this together. When you come up here and y'all talk to me, whether you're struggling through it, stumbling through it, getting it quickly, pretending you get it, whatever the case may be, you being able to come up here is helping somebody else. And we are all in this to help one another. I am happy and willing to stand up for somebody that I think might be going slower. If I see that maybe other people are getting frustrated, I'm more than willing to put my head on the chopping block for you. But I would love to see us all do that for one another together. And I know that y'all in this live, y'all in the Discord, you know what I'm saying? We're not getting paid for it. It's a free Discord. I know that y'all are giving y'all's time for free. I know that y'all are giving your service for free, your advice for free. I know you have lives, you have families, you have things to tend to. I am so grateful for each and every one of y'all that put your love, that put your soul into this space. I appreciate y'all, and I absolutely love y'all. Absolutely love y'all. I know sometimes y'all probably don't agree with the things that I do. I know that. And I know even recently I've been making kind of some changes and tweaks to certain things because I'm trying to have this longer term vision for how the space is going to operate and help. And I get it that everybody's not going to see that. Everybody, I get it and I understand that. But to those of y'all that are here, I swear to God, I appreciate y'all. I swear on everything, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I go out of my way as much as I can to try to break this down in different ways for y'all. But we are all in this together. Didn't plan on saying all this, but I just felt like I should. Right? If you've sensed me getting impatient or getting short with you, I apologize. I truly apologize. Right? We are in this together. We are in this together. You all want what you want. You deserve to have what you want. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So I guess that brings me to the next point. When conflict arises, it is not enemy against enemy. It is tension within the same body. Healing becomes internal even when it appears relational. Yes, but you still don't deserve it. Exactly. Even when it appears relational, the conflict is still internal. Me complaining about you is still an internal thing. It's still an internal thing. It's me, right? When passion erupts, it's not hunger for something outside of you. It is energy celebrating itself through polarity. So as the Tao Te Ching teaches, being and non-being create each other. Masculine and feminine, self and other, lover and beloved, they arise together, they dissolve together. The first time I realized you were me, I feared romance would become bland, would become detached, would become overly spiritual. Instead, it became unbearable in its intensity because now every touch is sacred, every gaze is cosmic, every kiss is the infinite tasting its own sweetness. So here's the last quote that we're going to talk about. I'm going to wrap this up, and then I'm going to ask y'all a personal question. All right. St. Augustine wrote, this is a quote from St. Augustine. It says, "Late have I loved you, beauty so ancient and so new. Late have I loved you, beauty so ancient and so new." There is something beautiful in that confession, right? Late have I loved you, beauty so ancient and so new. It is the cry of a soul that suddenly realizes what it has always been touching without knowing. Ancient, because this beauty existed before your first memory, before your first heartbreak, before your name was ever spoken. New, because every moment you awaken to it feels like the first sunrise ever witnessed. In love, right? So late have I loved you, beauty so ancient and new, right? In love, this is the moment that you recognize that what you adore in another is not foreign, it's primordial. It's ancient. It's the origin, right? You're not discovering something recent, you're remembering something absolutely divinely eternal. And the lateness is not about time. It's about awareness, right? When we say late have I loved you, it's not about time, it's about awareness. You walked past this beauty. You walked past this beauty in faces, in laughter, in silence, in your own reflection, calling it ordinary. Then, let me rewind that. You walked past this beauty. In faces, in laughter, in silence, in your own reflection, calling it ordinary. Then one day, through the eyes of a lover, then one day, through the trembling of intimacy, then one day, through the stillness between breaths, it reveals itself. You realize you were not falling in love with a person alone. You were falling into the depth that has always been here. Ancient as God, yet new as this heartbeat. Sometimes it's hard to find the words. It's hard to find the words, right? Ancient as God, but new as this heartbeat. And suddenly you understand. Love was never absent, only recognition was. Ancient and new. Eternal ancient and new, eternal. So when we say, right, what, they kiss me like we are eternal, we're not talking about time. We're talking about the dissolving of the illusion. I love that I keep coming back to that. Kiss me like we are eternal. Eternity is you right now without the label of division. This is what love feels like when it is stripped of illusion. It is older than your memories. The love that you are, it's older than your memories and fresher than your last breath. Fresher than your last breath. So when I say kiss me like we are eternal, I'm not clinging to you. I'm surrendering into what we already are, not two souls trying to merge. We're not two souls trying to merge, but one being playing hide and seek within itself just long enough to experience the thrill of reunion. And in that reunion, in the stillness between heartbeats, in that silence after the kiss, there is no you and no me. There is no you, there is no me, there is only love. And love is not something we do. It is what remains when separation falls away. Love is not something we do. Love just is. Love is what remains when the illusion of separation, of distance, of out there, of in here, of as above, so below, past, present, future, when those things dissolve into truth, all that remains is love. There's nothing for you to do. You're already it. There's no journey. You're already it. You just got to stop pretending you're in the journey. You're already it. Right? I am that I am, no matter what. I am that I am, no matter what. Cool. All right, let's do questions. Let's do some questions. Oh, I wanted to say something to y'all, right? Look, this is what I want to say, right? So I'm about to introduce some changes into the Discord. All right? I'm about to introduce some changes into the Discord. I'm also going to introduce some changes into the formats of these lives. Now, what I would truly appreciate from y'all that find value in the Discord, that find value in this, is I would love your opinions. Maybe I'd do like some kind of survey, but I'd rather make it more personal. I would love your opinions. What would you like to see in the Discord? What would help you more? Maybe a certain kind of questions, maybe a certain experiences in there. Maybe you're looking for something. Maybe, I don't know what it is, but let your boy know. Also, part 2. So number 1, give me your feedback. Number 2, if you have issues, please voice them so we can talk about them. If you have issues with anything going on, all right? If you're uncomfortable for any reason, right? We're not tone policing or shit like that. But if you're uncomfortable, if maybe I've said something that offended you, if there are any issues that we have, please reach out to me. Beautiful. All right, let's do questions. say less. Ooh, gratitude for y'all, man. Gratitude for y'all. I truly appreciate these conversations. I truly appreciate y'all's. I hope everybody was here when I gave y'all's flowers. Sarah, Katie, KJX, Art, my brother Art. I ain't seen my dog Art on the live in a minute. Josh, you know what I'm saying? Roses. Yeah, I was just shouting people out that I was proud of. Alyssa, you've kind of got this for a while. Alyssa, Shelly. Yeah, there's a lot of y'all. Yeah, I did say your name first there. Alexis. Alexis just want a shout out for causing chaos. I would love to give you a wedding speech, Katie. I would love it. I'll take my time. I'll write a good one for you. I got you. I for sure will do a wedding speech, for sure. I have everybody in that hoe crying. I'll have it. Chrissy, we haven't really spoken one on one, but Chrissy is up there. She's A1. Chrissy's A1. Oh, I'm not gonna deny that it doesn't help. I enjoy the challenging questions because they lead us down a path. Because that's my nature anyway. I'm already a little bit on the edge. I'm already comfortable with L. I give L flowers too. I give L flowers too. Because I'm already on the edge. So when y'all say things that are seemingly controversial, this is my stance. The truth stands the test. We're not running away. This is why we will tackle things about collective consciousness in there, about life and death and all those things, right? Really, the only thing that I really was kind of like, about was like when people were doing like tarot, trying to do like tarot readings and stuff in there, because that's kind of against the I am principle. But even that, like thinking about it now, I'm like, at what point do I want to just be like, no? Now, I don't want to confuse anybody that's new. I don't want to confuse anybody that's new and is coming here trying to. So, of course, we have certain things that I'm going to have to, we'll have to just be wise about and be adults about. But I mean, when it comes to challenging perspectives, I'm always open to that. When it comes to challenging perspectives, if you want to challenge my perspective, go ahead. But y'all know that if you challenge my perspective, I'm gonna come right back at you. Because if you can challenge me, it's only fair that I can challenge you. But if I challenge you, it's only fair that you can challenge me. Right? You're not here to be handheld through the finish line. Who is that helping? That's not helping anybody. You're here to stand so rooted in your truth that the only thing that remains is the truth. Right? Now, when it crosses the line into, personal jabs, when you get into racist and sexist comments, things like that, okay, well, let's kick their ass out. But up until then, ain't nothing wrong with a little dialogue. Now, also, and this has also been clear, if you're someone that, and Alexa, I know your ass knows this, but several of y'all know this. If you're also someone that is seemingly in the same loop, always asking the same questions, always getting to that same edge of lag, well, shit. Eventually, somebody telling you the same shit, they're going to get tired the fourth time. Like, hey, maybe you should just decide to accept this shit. Maybe you should stop looking around, right? But when there are conversations that are just challenging, especially when I see people being like, oh, I'm confused now. That's when I'm like, oh, hell yeah, let's go. Let's get it. Because how else does the truth stand? How else does the truth stand? If you can handle the circumstance of somebody asking you a tough question, then you could probably handle the circumstance of life showing you a little contrast. That is what life is. Forms show up within awareness. Can you stand in your truth? Right? So yeah, been doing a lot of thinking just on all kinds of things, right? Like even like the badge system and the Discord. Didn't want to get too comfortable. Just trying to think of like a long-term thing. Like, okay, how it is today, how the Discord is today is fine. But what about a year from now? What about 2 years from now? How do you see it? Of course, that's nobody's responsibility to think about except for me. Right? So it's, do I, how do you want to see it? What would be the mission of the space? And then I have to take a very honest look and say, okay, do I even like the way the space is right now? In some cases, absolutely. I love it. In some cases, absolutely. In some cases, no. And some things that I don't like about it, certain things. And I was a main contributing factor in some of the things that I didn't like. And that requires me to take a deep look in the mirror and say, you know what? Change. You don't have to stay the same. And it's all learning, right? Everything that we're doing, we're learning and growing and going down this path together. Even the lectures change based on us. It all changes based on us, right? But anyways, long story short, right? If y'all got opinions, recommendations, or issues, Alex, you were too mean to me, hit me up. We can talk about it. We can hash it out, right? So I hope none of y'all think that I'm out here trying to intentionally do it. Well, I guess that's a y'all problem, really not a my problem, but we can still talk through it. Okay? No, I know I ain't mean. But all right, y'all. What y'all want to ask? I probably missed some questions because I was looking around and shit. What don't I like about it? What I don't like about it has changed. Fuck that. I can be honest with y'all. Ain't really nothing to not be honest about. So, I did not like, so initially the issue that I had with the server was, I was trying to keep everything, I wish it was a bit more interactive as well, but I was trying to keep everything kind of aligned with conscious creation, manifestation, yada, yada, yada. I was trying to like push that. And then I was like, you know what? This is actually community building. It's supposed to be community building. But then there was one space, it was the random section. The random section just became like everything. Like people were talking about all kinds of things, and which is no problem. I have no fucking problem with you talking about whatever. It was that some of the topics that came up in there were causing confusion amongst people that had joined in new. Boom. Okay. So the recommendation was, all right, cool. So eventually we came up with this like system, right? This badge system. And then really what the initial thought was when I give you a badge, all right, or when you get one that is showing your commitment, that is my way of really giving you a little bit of appreciation to say, look, bro, thank you for giving in this free space and helping others on this journey. And I believe that your views are pretty in line with what Unity Conscious is in me. I think that you're a person that is open to talking to people, open to helping people. I think there's different reasons for that. On the other hand, there's other badges that keep the space sharp. So if you're constantly coming from a place of lack, you get a badge that signifies that. Boom. And so what that does is it creates accountability. Now you're constantly coming in here and you're doing the same thing. Well, we're going to slip that on there. That's what you're being, right? To a point where it's very obvious that you're being like that. All right. So what happened was, or what has happened was, now all of a sudden there's the yellow badges, there's the middle, there's the purple, right? And what I was fearful of is that it becomes like an inner circle, outer circle thing, to where it becomes kind of this hierarchical approach where you have a certain group looking at a different group differently, or you have somebody struggling because maybe they've only been in this for a month or a couple of weeks and they're asking the same questions, and now all of a sudden that becomes frowned upon. And also, if you had this different badge, you can have different conversations about certain things. Because there's no fear that you're going to confuse somebody new if you're keeping it in that space, right? Exactly, right? So you didn't want to make it cliquish, because that is a very dangerous place to be in. As kind of overseeing the entire thing, it's like, oh, well, that gets dangerous. When things start looking cliquish, it can get dangerous, right? So it's like, okay, well, how do I rethink this so that it remains a safe place? Because now you don't want like, oh, these people are always saying like this and they're always ganging up and now it feels like this and now people don't want to talk. And so now It becomes, because if you have a group of 300 people, how many people are going to talk? And then the more people that join, their first impression of what they see in there is important. Because I want to keep a welcoming presence. All right? I want you to know that I'm going to press you for your beliefs, but I also want you to know that I do it from love. And I want you to know that you can press me. You can press me publicly. Cats press me publicly. Cats press me in the Discord publicly. And told everybody to stop fucking answering. Everybody stop fucking answering. Let's have this conversation. But I have no problem with you pressing me. I have no problem with you confronting me. Right? If you believe that it's helpful, if you believe that if that's your opinion, cool, do that shit. Right? But I had to really kind of re-look at myself and be like, all right, well, I was trying all these new things. You're throwing things against the wall. You're trying to see what sticks, what works, what doesn't. And some things didn't. And so for the badge, what we're going to do is we're going to have a hard reset every month. Wow. Right? So at the end of every month, we're just going to take all of them away and assign them based on what happened the last month. And I don't know who's going to help me with them. I don't know. I'll probably have a couple of people help me with the assigning of them. Right? But just so it stays fresh. Because I don't want there to be this segmentation. Okay? I don't want there to be this segmentation. And I want to acknowledge people that have been helping recently, right? Right? I don't want it to cause comfort. I want it to stay fresh. Right? But I also know that some people ain't finna like that. Do I think that the badge, it creates an echo? It could, absolutely. And that's another thing that's been on my mind. Is can it create this? Yeah, for sure. It can create this echoing of spirituality, like this echoing of the same belief, for sure. That's another thing we'll think about. Right? But even kind of the thought of, okay, maybe do I put caps on it? Do I put caps on the badges? Right? Like a certain amount of people, all these things, right? I know once something is introduced, it's difficult to make changes. And I understand that's part of the game. I understand that's part of the game. Completely understand that, right? You introduce something, somebody's going to like it. You take it away, they're not going to like it. You don't introduce something, they might not like it. Right? I get it. That's part of it. But do I want to make the Discord in fucking elementary school? Or do I want to actually have it be a place where people are coming in, they're improving, and it's leading into these higher conversations and true community, right? It's just a fun thing. Okay. So it's just a fun thing. And it's really just my way of just saying, look, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for what you do. Thanks, Kat. But I mean, it's not like you can't just lump it and be like the people with badges. Like we're not gonna see eye to eye with everybody at all. Anyway, whether we took them away, you would still be like, I don't see eye to eye with certain people, and that's fine. That's fine. What if you don't have one? There's only been a few given out. And it's also something we'll I haven't given one out in a minute. I know people care about them. And that's fine. It's still a fun thing. I still like them. No one's convinced me. I haven't had a convincing argument to remove them. If I do, I'll listen to it. That's not always true. No, it ain't. I hear y'all. Y'all ain't even want to DM me this. Y'all just waiting for me to say something for y'all to fucking open y'all's mouths. God damn. You ain't want to say nothing before, huh? Now all of a sudden, everybody got to. How can we DM you when you don't accept the request? Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. That's a good question. Instagram. Instagram allows y'all to DM me, right? You can DM. Everybody can DM somebody on Instagram. There you go. Yeah, bro. I need something. Cause y'all, yeah, shit. I'm not finna. Matter of fact, I'll turn my DMs on for y'all right now. I'll turn my Discord DMs on for everybody because that's a good point. Because I also am sending y'all a note because I want y'all to be more open to be about if y'all have problems that are going on, right? I want to hear about those problems too. So how do I change this shit? Settings, privacy, perhaps. I got you. No, I'm gonna put them on. I'm gonna put them on. I'm gonna put them on for sure. Filter messages from server members you may not know. How do you do that? What does that mean? Filter them into a separate message request. Oh yeah, I want that on. All right, my shit's on. Go ahead. Share your activity. There you go. DM's open. I appreciate you, Sarah. What she puts. I don't know. She said it had something to do with the time of the month. She likes to brew my water at a certain time of the month. Something I don't know, something like that. Anyways, I don't know what it is. I love it though. uh, okay, what else y'all want to talk about, man? Oof, take her to Vegas. Yikes. Yikes. I might be able to arrange that actually. Mm. How to, oh shit, what was that? Teach you how to manifest what? Yeah, send your thoughts, Alyssa. I'm actually very curious to hear because I know you've been involved in a lot. Well, not involved in a lot. I know you've just been there a lot. My sister said I had a cult the other day. What the fuck are you talking about? These motherfuckers push back on everything I fucking say. Cult. How to revise an event in the past. There is no past. There's only you right now. There's only you right now. Right? What do you decide? Who are you right now? Said, God damn, bro, Cole, every time I say something, these motherfuckers say something back to me. I wish. Shit, a cult sounds nice. A cult sounds nice. Ew. A cult sounds nice. I'm sure from the outside it does sound like a cult, though. You are God. You can have whatever you want. Your SP is yours. Oh yeah, the elephant fire, ain't it? Repeat after me. I am God. I am God. The all is me. The all is me. Cinnamon bags, pink bows, crystals. chakra realignments. Yeah, it's more like a class. I for sure say it's more like a class. Yeah, I did say 30 to 45 minutes, bro. I'm wilding. Because he divorced. So just go back to you're in a relationship right now, a happy marriage right now. Matter of fact, if you, like how I said, open my DMs. All right, I'm sorry I have to do this, and I do this with love. But when y'all start spamming the same message, it's very hard for me to take y'all serious as somebody who's not in lack. Okay, so first and foremost, all right, let's say that you asked, okay, I wish y'all would persist in the story that you are the person that you desire to be, the way that you persist in hitting the copy and paste button and sending the same message 83 damn times. Because we could solve all your problems right now just by doing that. We solve all your problems right now by you just deciding that you are it. And no matter what shows up, you copy and paste that knowing onto your damn self. But instead, here we are, right? This is what you got to do. There is no past to change. What happened, happened. Now, you can change who you are right now, and things might show up within awareness to give you the perception that something's changed, right? To give you the perception that something's changed, but nothing has actually changed. There's nothing to change. That singular event does not define who you are. You can decide who you are right now. Are you the person in a relationship? Are you the center of love in your reality? Who are you right now? I'm not interested in you creating a time machine and going back and changing the past. I'm interested in you deciding right now, in the immediacy of now, who you are. Are you love? Are you prosperity? Are you committed to? Are you all of those things? And then walking in that truth. And then watch how life rearranges. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be getting more and more distance between me and specific people manifestation. And we're going to get more and more into non-duality. The specific people, we're going to talk about it, but I'm not going to talk about it in a level of, hey, look, I need them back. They left me last month. I'm sad. We're not going to engage in that shit no more. Because that shit is, if I do engage with it, it won't be to give you the steps to get them back. It will literally be a foundational approach to non-duality, because I have come also to another reflection. Yeah, we've all started there for sure. But I've come to another self-reflection that I think that it is more helpful or harmful than helpful for me to push you till you can have them. You can have them before actually you understanding the truth of who you are. So if you come over here and you're like, Alex, I need this person. How do I get them? We about to have a I am awareness one-on-one class together, me and you. And then when you understand that, then we're going to talk about your specific person. Then we're going to talk about the specific person. But until then, you're not finna technique me. You're not finna what technique you got to do. What do I have to do? None of that, right? We're going into I am awareness. You don't know. Hey, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Right? I do know, though. I do know. Uh-oh. Thank you, Alana. We want our SP. I don't want no awareness class. I want my SP. I don't give a damn about I am God. Give me Demetrius. That girl want Demetrius back. She don't care about knowing she God. Yeah, I'm God. Okay, cool, fine. But about Demetrius. That's my neighbor's name. At the end of the day, my SP's musty than a motherfucker. At the end of the day gonna end and your SP gonna still be musty. For sure. At the end of the day gonna end. Your SP, that motherfucker still gonna be a musty motherfucker. Yeah, if they're musty, then who is the one that loves must? It's y'all. So I am so. Absolutely. What do you mean I am God? I'm sure you answered. I mean that you are everything. You're the source of everything. You are awareness itself. You are awareness itself. You are the source of everything. That's what I mean. You are everything that you desire to be. All realities exist within you right now. It's a profound truth that fucking SP addict Alexis over here. It's just a profound truth that you are already everything. No, my SP not musty. Good try though. Good try. My SP not musty. See how you trying to put words in my mouth? I feel like y'all been switching up. Let me guess why. Matter of fact, let me guess why, Alexis. Let me guess why you think we've been switching up. Because you think that somehow in your mind you've interpreted that you're interpreting that I'm saying that you can't have your specific person. You don't want to hear about non-duality. I get it. You want to hear about your specific person. I know, girl. You can have him. Once you understand that you already have him. You can have him once you understand that you already have him. My content really hasn't changed. Just the verbiage that I've used has changed. The language that I've used has changed. The way that I've delivered the message has changed. It's always been non-duality. It's always been you are everything that you desire to be right now, no matter what. That's always been the central point. I am that I am, no matter what. I'm already everything that I desire to be right now, no matter what. No exceptions to that rule. That's it. Now, I might give you poetry. We might do this non-dualism too. But it's all the same. Yeah. It's all the same. All right, y'all, I'm about to get off of here. I gotta call my SP. We gotta chill. I gotta call my SP. But good luck with y'all's. You can have them. How do you, Alexis? You know exactly what I mean. How many times you ask the same question? It means you already have them. You can have them. They are you. All right, love y'all. Talk to y'all later. And